so. Yeah, no, I just shut up. Oh, wow. Good evening, everybody. Tom Kaczynski here. I'm here in the yellow light. Dana thought the yellow light looks terrible. Put the other light on. Let's make me look like a human being.
I don't think it would make a difference.
It'll make a huge difference. All right, give me a second here. We're actually doing it up at the car. Well, let's not do that. Now I look like really creepy. Anyway, well, just give us 1 second. We're gonna work through the technical difficulties here. But anyways, I am. We'll let Dana do it. Dana will be our key grip here. So let's shut the orange one off. And let's do that. Yeah, people don't want to see my forehead shine at them. Maybe if I adjust the light. Just give me 1 second. We're getting it worked out. Okay. I think I got to put under my face. Otherwise, it has to be over there. Let's just put it on the end of the flippy.
It won't stay.
Here, I'll do it. I can do it. No, I got it. All right, we're going to have this working in 1 second. Just bear with us. Some technical difficulties based upon user error. That's my phone. It's gonna work fine. We're going to figure this out.
I don't want it shining in my face.
Okay, there you go. Now it's not. All right, so I'll hold it. I am your host, Tom Kaczynski. Welcome to the evening show. You guys always ask me to do an evening show. No, it's fine. It's good. No, because then if I move my knee. Anyway, welcome to the evening show. I am your host, Tom Kaczynski, and we're going to have a Friday night show, which we haven't done in a while. I'm completely sober. I know you guys will be upset about that, but what can we do? You know, life. I don't have the liver to do more than that. Besides, it's not a very good habit for me to get myself into that much trouble. But we will try, in spite of that impediment, to have a good show here. That made it worse.
What?
Yeah, no, it needs to be faced more. Okay, that's good. That's. I'll hold it. I got it. Beautiful. Thank you. So anyway, so I wanted to start off today's show by actually, I want to start with the video I just watched. We were watching this video from Stu Peters' show, and I can't talk about all the details of it, but I will say this. There is something called the Joint AI Center, the Joint AI Intelligence Center that the government runs, basically. And one of the things that's been really interesting to learn about is just how much our government's enabling the sort of worst habits of AI. And specifically, the woman who was on it, her name was Karen Kingston. She was reading patents from some of the big companies who you would recognize, you know, who could either start with a P or an M or AZ or JJ, you know what I'm talking about. And they were talking about how they were putting a surveillance system, a patent for surveillance system in place where they would be able to electronically randomly scan people in a certain area and assign them scores based upon things that were known about them, about their medical situation, including their religious affiliation, to judge the risk of someone would have for need for an intervention. So basically, let me just put this to you in English. What they're basically doing is the JAIC is the government assholes who are going to make Skynet, okay? That's who they are. And what they're doing is they're helping fund projects and lead the patents that would be used for surveillance, where what happens is, as I understand it, smart devices will be able to basically read people through some means that we're told, you know, doesn't and can't possibly exist, and then make judgments about this. And who knows what intervention happens. I mean, we might be at a point where we're looking at, you know, literally being tracked and traced at all times. So if you don't have this in you, at some point they'll be able to judge, hey, he doesn't have that or she doesn't have that, you know, and go after them. So let me say hi to everyone who's here.
Do you know what I pictured when you said that?
What?
You know the Body Snatchers movie.
The Body Snatchers
where
movie?
Donald Sutherland points and starts just like screeching.
Yeah. It might be a little bit like that, except it's AI.
It's gonna be zombie zombie jab.
Yeah, you're right. It will be.
E.T. putting people coming after us humans.
Yeah, and humanity's numbers get lower every day. Good evening to Richard, to Patches, to Helen, to Dean, to Lone. Good to see you, Lone Wolf. And so we'll continue with this. So what I was saying and what we continue our ongoing research with, we were reading, what was it, Hail Hydra? We've been watching all these videos about what these little Hydra vulgaris things can do. It's a pretty amazing thing. Basically, it's a phalange. It's kind of got a couple stem cells floating off of it. You throw this thing into a blender, it recombines itself, and you combine that with some of these magnetic. What was the thing we were reading about? Clay. What was it called? Clay, not claymation. What was the clay thing? Claytronics.
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 Yeah.
We've been like learning about material science. Let me tell you something, man. The matrix is here and it's in microbiology. Nanotech is insane what it can actually do. And we are just trying to put the story together for you. But I won't lie, Dana and I have been having a crash course trying to understand this. It's a lot of reading and a lot of video watching. But
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little freaked out.
yeah, a lot freaked out. If you haven't seen our Telegram group where you can see some of these things for yourself and make your own judgments, hey, join us because you can't say things on here. You all know that's the truth.
A lot of it I put in the cathedral.
They don't know about the cathedral.
But I only give that link out personally, so you have to contact one of us or whatever.
So yeah, it's but the main group that I run where you can see most of this stuff is t.me/@Atlantic Homeland. And you can find me at Tom Kaczynski. And if you look in there, you can probably find my wife, too. She's Dana. It's pretty obvious who she is.
I'm Renegade Carbon Unit.
She's Renegade Carbon Unit. That's right. Yeah, that's your name. That's Renegade Carbon Unit. Here's the original Renegade Carbon Unit. The infamous Murray is with us tonight.
Yeah,
Murray, do you have any commentary for the good people?
Yeah, man, you made some tasty beans tonight, Dennis. I enjoyed those. They were yummy.
Pork and beans, what are you adding? Methane to the atmosphere. What are you going to say if they bring you to jail for climate change, infractions?
Well, I mean, I was using the solar generator for the crock pot. That's right, I'll count for something.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point.
I was reducing my carbon footprint.
There you go. That's Murray. We all know we love Murray. He gets every book dedicated to him. They have had their body snatched. It's an interesting question, IRL politic. One of the things we've been asking, and actually I'll tell a very personal story from today. The question I've been asking, I've been praying about this a lot, is what defenses do we have against, the ability of electronics to work upon us? For instance, if someone stuns you with a stun gun, it's not like you can say, I don't want to be stunned and you don't get stunned. So when we look at this ability to use nanotech against people, we wonder what sort of efforts of resistance we have. And the question is, we really don't. He sounds like he sounds like Meatwad, right? Someone said it.
What?
That voice sounds like the one character from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
No, I don't. That's fake news.
Meatwad, get the money.
Stop it, I'm not Meatwad.
Okay.
You have a chicken named Meatwad.
We do have a chicken named Meat. We actually have a Cornish rock named Meatwad.
We do. It's just a fat ball of.
It's all muscle.
It's
a food bird.
They're all legs.
Meat bird, but
they're all legs and just
Meatwad. And one is a Meatwad.
And the feathers grow in just terrible, and they're just like half naked fat chickens running around, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Something I said many years ago. Good to see you, Raven, Lady M, Politic, everyone. So I used to tell this joke that I think I understood the key to Aqua Teen Hunger Force, because Dana's fond of the show. That if you understand that Shake is a Jew, that what's his name? Fryman is a Catholic, and Meatwad's a Protestant or an evangelical. You'll understand that show with much more humor. And if you know the types of people, it's totally a Christian joke, but you would actually appreciate why that is and how they interact with one another. Anyway, so we were told about bodies being snatched. So what I was saying is that I was praying because I really don't know what limitations exist and what can be done to us. And we've been sitting here and I have conversations all day long. This is literally what I do. And if you think there's value in it, by the way, you want to support the program, go buy a book or send some Venmo to @CVCPRV or do a super chat or whatever. I'm going to do everything, but that's fine. But the help is definitely appreciated. You guys keep this going. And it lets me spend time doing research instead of real work. But you need me to do the research because it's boring and it's awful and it's complicated. And you need a deep knowledge base to try to do that. And I'm working on it. Especially Tim gave me some good questions and some other people did too. So I'm working on that. I do have a crypto wallet if you want to do something. My email is newalbion@protonmail.com. Just shoot me something privately and we can set something up. That's doable. Absolutely. I have that. Okay. So what I was saying was, so I'm in prayer and I'm literally I'm like, Lord, I'm like, okay. I'm just like, I was literally praying. I was like, Lord, use me how you can, and I'm like, give me a way to go to stand against this, because I'm like, I feel like we need something supernatural to be able to resist this, because if it's just straight up biology, if we really are just flesh and blood, and this electronics is coming at us, it's gonna eat us up like, how should I say it? What's a good example?
What?
Like a shark hanging out with a woman on the rag. I don't know what the
What are you
example
talking about?
about what resistance we'd have against nanotech being employed against us. And I'm saying, if not for spiritual protection,
Did you say shark and like a woman on
going after a woman on the rag, sharks are attracted to blood. You know that.
But that's nasty.
Well, but I know, and so is nanotech.
That's inappropriate.
It's not a PG-13 show, anyway. So what I was saying to you, so we were going through, and we were thinking about this, and it just, what they've been doing is they've been splicing. They call them model organisms, like this is the phrase they use, and they start splicing these different organisms to figure out how they could make. And there was a DARPA program studying this, how to make an artificial brain from the ground up, because it could reorganize itself, and they had the ability to do that, as well as what they've been working on with these claytronics, which was these blocks that learn how to intelligently self-organize. Like, they started out with blocks originally, and then they moved to spheres, and they connect. And as you get smaller, they look a lot more like neurons. And if you look at it, the combination of what synthetic neurons would look like and these sort of hydra things fit a lot of what we are seeing in some of the microscopy that's coming out through various sources.
So what were we saying the other day? That what goes in and tears it up? The spike protein, right?
Yeah.
Spike
Keep in mind you're on YouTube saying this, so.
What? I'm always telling you to use.
I know, you're the one who always tells me that. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, but you never use.
I know, and that's why hopefully I never get I'm going to get canceled, but that's fine. Go ahead, just say it. Say how you want to say it, but just keep in mind.
So the spike protein goes in there and tears everything up, right?
Right.
Okay.
Then the graphene makes the conductive lattice work upon which the electrical currents that are beamed into people travel. Because you can see, actually, these things behave differently in the presence of cell phones and different things.
Oh, yes. And then the hydra component.
That's the part that's probably used for the construction. The scaffolding. It's probably the part that actually pulls it along and then sends in the information. They probably splice synthetic code into biology.
So what is it that carries that graphene payload that's in those discs, right?
That's not really the payload. That's more the conductive material. I mean, it's in there. It's already in there. It can just slide into cracks. If you want to think about it, the spike proteins tear up the endothelial walls, and they dysregulate. Well, yes, they dysregulate the immune response, and the immune response goes nuts. So while the immune response is busy taking care of the riot, downtown, they're busy robbing all the houses in the suburbs.
So the spike protein is setting fires and turning over trash cans.
Yeah.
And the graphene
standing against the man.
And the graphene is like watching the diversion from afar, like plotting the.
Or it's buying up the property on the cheap. In this case, it's both the Fed and the robber, which, by the way, is sort of how it is in real life. But yeah. Funny metaphors, right? Late at night, the metaphors get crazy. All right, let's see what else people are writing. Nanoparticles, tech is a fact for years already. Absolutely. Sam, thank you to be here. Appreciate that. Raven writes, most natural or collective spot. What are you doing?
I'm sorry.
Failure.
I'm sorry. I was trying.
All right. Raven wrote something smart. Most natural, conductive, or collective process would be centered with outward spirals. Cephalopods are Fibonacci sequence in a biological organism. The Hydra, actually, they're in what, the jellyfish class, which is somewhat in the neighborhood. I know cephalopods are, that's what, octopi? A cephalopod? Or is that the jellyfish? Okay, jellyfish.
Jellyfish, anemones.
Spikes, definitely, and yeah. Dana knows her biology better than I do, But the spirals, you're right. What they did was they started actually making graphene in that way because it was more conducive and it was more elastic. We were watching some material science videos. What they do is they have a drop of oil and a certain amount of pressure, and what happens is it kind of forms around it because it modifies the magnetic field, so they can make these little spiral flanges that go in there.
I guess it was the faster that they push the
Yeah, you get
material
more
through.
tensile in the spike, and then you could do that. And then you could also have, like, they had this way of creating molecular motion with, what was it? It's called molecular lithography, where they take a laser on these thin sheets of it, and what they do is they cut lines in certain ways so that when magnets hit it, much like origami, if there's like a bend here, like a box, it'll bend like this. So you get these creepy little walkers coming at you. I'm not here to eat you. I'm just here to cure you. Brought to you by Pfizer. Anyway, coincidence day. I said death by a thousand cuts. Yeah, no, it is. The cephalod reference is reference to observed cephalopods seen in the blanks of light. Yeah, and you're right. It is. The stuff is out there, and how should I put it? Let me put it in a Christian context for you, because that's
I
how I
mean,
see it.
like, they are cool. Like, you can't help but be like, what the
Yeah,
world?
everyone loves Skynet, man. Why
I
didn't we?
mean, like, it's just, it's fantastic and just,
It staggers belief. It does
yeah,
it.
it's just,
Well, but you know what they're doing? They're really,
it's
if you get
mind-blowing.
down to it, they're trying to replicate organic life and then improve upon it, in the sense that they're trying to make the mechanical parts of it eternal. And that's really what it's about. But from a perspective, and a lot of it, actually, I suspect if we got deeper into it, what we would
Well, if
find is
God
that the
wanted us to
agenda.
be robots, he wouldn't have given us free will.
Well, I mean, but
So.
one of the things we saw, since some people have been following, and Stu Peters has been doing a good job finding the right guests for this. I'll give him credit for that. These things behave differently in the presence of light, and I think that's sort of telling that it's actually light that seems to activate them from their inactive resting state to these lattices. And what I would suggest is, in the same sort of way that light is what operates your neurological system, ultimately, the flashes of light. I suspect what we will find in the end game of this is that what it's trying to do is trap light in certain ways. Use light from the outside to hold whatever light you have on the inside. Remember what the Matrix told you. The computer ultimately is going to see you as a battery. They weren't lying when they said that, and I think the same thing is true here. The computers want power, they want context, and they want data. And that's your brain. That mush up there, that's a quantum computer that gives them access to certain things, context from our experience, and whatever light we have, whatever motivating energy we have is far greater than our abilities. You start looking at this stuff with the morphic fields, like I'm reading the Sheldrake guy talk about. We don't have enough genetic encoding in our information to know the things we know. So we're pulling it from somewhere, and these machines want to start pulling from that somewhere we're pulling. That's, whatever you want to call it, connection to God. That's what I'd call it. Cosmic consciousness. Some people call it that way. But it's a biological instinct that we don't really understand very properly. Hippo, good to see you. Hope all is well out there in the great state of New York. I know you guys have it rough out there. And God bless.
Is all of this is all this nonsense that is that just to go after the God gene, or is
No,
that
they want to get your soul. It's not that they want to. They don't. It's not so much
yeah?
that
But
they.
if you go after the
It's an
God,
intermediary
but if
step.
you go after the God gene, and that's what allows you to have belief and faith, then
Well,
doesn't that
it's
kind of technically
no.
sever your connection to God?
Well,
Isn't that your
it's.
soul?
I think you have it backwards. I think that it severs your connection to God, which is what allows you to have the belief. It doesn't go after the belief; it goes after the connection. It's trying to sever the connection, literally. Now, does that mean that you're not still? That's where things get tricky theologically. And what we're learning, by the way, just so you understand that what we're talking about here. Um, we're really trying to understand, to put in a Christian context, what the mark of the beast is. A lot of people thought, oh, it's going to be something you go around with your hand, like they give you free in Sweden.
I mean,
Brought to you by Ericsson.
is it stealing the soul, or is it just shutting it off?
Is there a difference?
I don't know.
I don't think there is. I mean, I think once you're disconnected from the source, you're
Because
done.
if they do shut off the God gene, I mean, like, how many people in the beginning are like, I can't feel God anymore, like I can't hear His voice, like
Well,
what the world?
Well, I mean, the question is, I guess the question, and we'll throw it out for the audience if people want to throw in some ideas, is what is it that gives us our connection to God? I mean, some people might say, oh, it's rational thought, but obviously that's not the case.
But
So
most
it
people
has
would
to.
say it's the God gene, dude.
Well, people have watched one thing. I think it's more complicated than that. I think it has to do with the resonance that happens from the nature of the DNA strand helix. I think the thing that people miss is that what we see with DNA is notes on a guitar, but what really makes it is how you strum the thing, and that's the divine harmony.
Well, I know, but
The
if
resonance.
that part of your brain
I mean,
is
music's
already
math, and
like,
math is truth.
if it's already hardwired for you to be like predisposed, predisposed to believe anyway, then
Well, I mean, belief
know
would
what
be
I
a
mean?
choice. I mean, it's not like you would. You're saying that you
I
would have
lost
the.
my train of thought.
Well, all right. So the theory of the God gene. Okay, so this was how it would have to work. The God gene would have to somehow deny access to your pineal gland. That's probably where this goes through to whatever field of quantum consciousness exists.
No, it's actually up in this part of your brain.
What, the cerebral cortex? She's pointing to the front of her head.
Right front.
Y'all want to say hi to Dana?
No, I got white gunk all over my face right now.
We have 15 watchers and 4 likes. If the likes get up to 15 before this is done, you get to see white gunk.
No, it's not happening.
All right, let's see what Raven writes real fast. I try to explain in terms of electromagnetic frequency. The current event being pushed with the depressor will lock in the lower frequency and can be altered remotely. So he's making the argument, and Raven's a smart guy. Raven's really talented. Raven's
been around forever.
Raven has been around forever. Raven knows.
How are you not a mod?
Raven's not a mod because he comes in as he goes. He would be a mod if he was here.
He comes as he goes.
Frontal lobe is definitely affected. So he's talking in terms of electromagnetic frequency. He's saying that we resonate at a lower rate, and that since we're at a lower frequency, like think for those of you who aren't familiar, a perfect example is solfeggio frequencies, or like the idea that music should be at 432 hertz, but because it's at 440, you start having certain problems. These things are sort of researched and understood that there's all these games that are played to create dissonance, so you can't reach your fullest potential. And whenever you want the perfect numbers, like you look at the Tesla stuff, you want numbers that are nines, like 432. 4 plus 3 plus 2 is 9. It's divisible by 9, and therefore it has a resonance where it has a building resonance. And there's all these weird, I mean, it sounds like Pythagorean cult, but this is literally what it is. When you start studying music and math, you start to understand these relationships. Yeah, 432, the God hertz.
So if our bodies are God's temple and the God gene allows us to connect with him or be predisposed to want to
think of this like then the interjections are
if you sever that
connection, it's like a Roman legion going town in 70 AD. That's when they destroyed the temple because I think the Jews revolted or something.
But if that's where the beast is going to be set up, if it's in humans,
the beast just has to disconnect you. Then the electronics. I mean, I think if there's a beast system, we're buffering. Oh, I hope we're not buffering. Buffering's the death knell of this. Yeah, we are not in the best coverage, but we're doing the best we can. We're having some fun with you guys tonight. I was going to say
buffering?
Who knows?
For me, still.
What? Side buffering too. All right. Well, you tell me when it stops buffering.
Give you a thumbs down. You're just a dick that gave you a thumbs down.
I don't know. Let's wait and see if it stops buffering. Give it a minute. We're going to try to hold this out. Do you know where you're going to? I think, did we lose it? We always lose it. That's a shame. Did we get back?
No.
Oh, you bastard.